right, 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mary Katie, welcome back.
Hello.
Season finale or
Oh, is
something
it?
like that.
Oh, yeah. End of the year.
End of the year
Whew.
for the city. Mayor's Monday here at
Only?
WSAU, WSAU.com. The PFAS story is just not going to go away.
No.
Talk about a Friday news dump last week, a couple weeks ago, I should say. You laid it on us that you're suing more than a dozen, almost 2 dozen manufacturers and insurance companies that are known manufacturers of PFAS.
Yep.
Tell us what the significance of this action is by the city.
Yeah, so, obviously we've been dealing with this since January, February of 2022. It's been a while. So we are a part of the multi-district litigation. I know that you covered our meeting that we had last week, where we stayed in that lawsuit. But this is different. We wanted to file it on our home turf. We wanted to be able to make our case in front of a jury of our peers, and we wanted to bring people in here so that the public can hear what they have to say. We're not sure what will happen. I think that Eau Claire, you might have reported on or seen, did something similar, and it was punted over to federal court. But we do know that the judge here that was assigned understands civil litigation, so we feel like this is a good opportunity for us to make this case in front of our community to ensure that we're covered. This has been a really expensive ordeal. And we want to make sure we can recover those costs and make sure the health of our community isn't at stake anymore.
So this lawsuit, is it going to be here in Marathon
That's
County?
where it is now.
Then, okay.
Yep.
And of course, filed. You've got a firm out of New York City representing the city, though.
Yep.
What's the significance of that?
Yeah, so these guys and gals, it's a huge team. I mean, when we get on calls, it's maybe 20 lawyers sometimes, but they are very well known. We did some investigation into their background, asking other attorneys, and they're the gold standard when it comes to this kind of litigation. So we trust them. We know that they have our best interest, and they were part of some of those big lawsuits, like the 9/11 first responders and the opioid settlements. So we know they know what they're doing, and we know they get the job done.
So then, as far as what the city's going to get out of this, is it too soon to tell then?
Yeah.
What that?
Yeah, at least from this
benefit will be?
lawsuit. We're starting to hear a little bit of estimation when it comes to the 3M and DuPont settlements, but obviously this one's a little bit different here, so we don't know yet.
So in that case, obviously, if the city ends up winning this, there could be a significant settlement then for the city. Would that money then be earmarked to the wastewater treatment plant? Would it maybe come back into the ratepayers' pockets in some way? Because obviously this is something that's more than doubled the water rates for Wausau.
Yeah, so the city ratepayers have paid so much to make sure that the water is safe for everyone, I would say it will be a council decision, obviously. They get to decide how to spend that, but the smart places who recover these costs, they are putting it in segregated funds earmarked for pollution remediation. So we've got opportunity to either maybe pay out, retire some debt early. We have different opportunities. So yes, I would absolutely be advocating for some relief when it comes there. But we want to be smart about it. We want to make sure that we are looking ahead. Because the EPA and the DNR are looking at regulating other things too: wastewater, biosolids, soils. We don't even have a regulation for groundwater, so we want to make sure that we are able to address those issues as they come up, and hopefully before then. Mm-hmm. That is what we need to be able to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
PFAS-free city, let's go.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because obviously this is something that we're kind of learning about on the fly. And a few years ago, we never would have thought to test for something like this in the water. Now, all of a sudden, Wausau is leading the way on it. So this,
unfortunately, yeah.
Yes, unfortunately. So you do need to be prepared.
Yep. I think that's the big thing. We've had a good debate at council talking through what would we do with these funds. And people have ideas, and it's silly season too, so people want to make sure they can say things to the community. And I think what we need to do first is get the money in hand, and then we can start to talk about what we're going to do with that or how we'll use it to address our issues.
And that's a step that we are certainly a couple years away from, probably.
Maybe. I mean, some of the scheduling. I mean, you're gonna start hearing at the beginning of the year some of those scheduling and some of those hearings. So stay tuned. It could be quicker than you think.
All right. So again, this case, though, right now, or for now anyway, is in Marathon County Courts.
Yep.
And what's the plan then to keep us updated on this as the progress moves?
Well, we're going to continue to keep ourselves updated, and as progress is made. I mean, I know that you've followed many a lawsuit in CCAP, and you see that there are 2-minute hearings and a variety of conferences. So we'll keep you posted as the good stuff starts happening.
Absolutely. And another thing you're going to be keeping us posted on here is the new search for a new transit director. First off, again, things didn't quite work out. Matthew Rosenblum-Jones here for a few months, and then he moved on. So what is the city looking for right now to fill this position?
Yeah, so we are working very closely with our HR. We're working with the HR director on some of the really important qualities. I really need somebody to be thinking about what's next for transit. We have struggled a little bit in that department because we have not pushed ahead with electric, for instance, or hybrids. And so we now have a shop that's maybe outdated for if we got a hybrid bus. We'd need to do some modifications there. So we're looking for somebody that can look ahead, see what challenges are on the horizon for transit. We need somebody who has been a leader in transit in the past. I think that's going to be really important. And also managing people. There's a lot of people, lots of different stakeholders, lots of different people that have opinions. So somebody that can, take the heat in that way too. So, disappointed it didn't work out before, but we've done interviews last week now. And I think we have some very promising candidates.
Yeah, because, obviously that was a personnel decision that there's not a whole lot you can say publicly about it. But I know that when Matthew came in, he was getting appointed to statewide positions right away. He came in with a lot of visions, for the city and growing the transit. I'm sure that those are things you would also like to see.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely am looking for a visionary with the right experience too. So very disappointed that it didn't work out with Matthew. Wish him well, obviously. But sometimes it just doesn't work out for people, and we all have to make our decisions.
And then again, one of the things we asked you about last time, and I'm sure one of the things that's going to be on your mind as well as you find the new one, director, is probably somebody who can bring the municipalities together to try and expand Metro Ride into the areas like Weston and Rib Mountain.
Yeah, that's actually a question that we have on our interview questions is how do we bring people along who are maybe not ready, don't want to, aren't sure how it's going to work. So we've had some really interesting discussions already about what that looks like. And I'm hopeful for the future. I think that we can find the right person who will, be a convener and somebody that can, rally our friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it, because that's obviously something that the city has been struggling with for a while. There's been several focus groups, things like that about it.
You've covered it all.
And at a certain point, even for somebody who's in a position like me where you'd look at it on an agenda and you say, okay, well, I've chased this before and it goes nowhere. Right. At some point, there's got to be some tangible action.
Yep, I think so too. And some of it might come from surprising places. I know right now we've had some really interesting conversations with business stakeholders, and so I think with those conversations continuing, we can get somewhere at least to try some new things that won't maybe cause our partners to run away screaming with their hair on fire.
But of course, to do all of that, you've got to get the right person.
Got to get a leader. We're ready.
So when could we expect to see some news on that?
Yeah, I'm hoping it would be nice if I could say the end of the year, but probably in January is when you'll be hearing about it.
Not many people changing jobs around the holidays.
It's a little easier to, go eat with your parents and all that. I get it.
Yeah, indeed. One more thing then, before we let you go, obviously a big decision from the city council last week regarding a tax increment finance district. Yeah. We're going to extend the financing increment 1 year. You're going to get about $4 million to help with low-income housing projects.
It's a big deal.
Or affordable housing projects, I should say. Yeah. How big is that for the city?
Yeah, it's a really big deal. We have had several affordable housing projects that we've been trying to push through, and I know that Liz and Randy kind of outlined those projects. The stack is hard when it comes to capital because it's not, these aren't market rate. It's hard to get a return, and then even when they get their tax credits, there's still going to be a gap. So this will be really helpful for us to be able to pursue those options and do things like, on the Grand Avenue site, we have to move a water pipe, a really old 100-year-old water pipe. So that's about $1 million right there. So we want to be able to prep that land, make sure that we're ready for those projects to come in, and hopefully move a bunch of people in so they can, afford their housing again. It's been really tough, and there's been a crunch around here.
Afford their housing and more importantly, be employed here, work here, and spend money here.
Yeah,
right?
we want all of that. Yes, we want to grow our community, and without housing, we can't.
And I know as well, the part of this is the West Side Battery Project.
Yep.
I forget the name for that now. I believe it's something Riverview Lofts or something like
you're
that.
You're testing me right now. It sounds about right, man.
I know the official name for it is not the West Side Battery Project, is what I'm saying.
But we're really terrible at naming things in Wausau sometimes. So 400 block athletic field.
Yeah.
West Side Battery.
So, but I know from that location, that project is actually getting off the ground now because they were waiting on tax credits.
Yep, they got their tax credit, and now they just have a little bit of a gap that we're excited that we can help with.
Yeah, and that's part of what that money is going to go for. And I believe it leaves you about like $1.3 million
Look at you tallying it out.
But that's a whole lot better than the $5 million you were looking at earlier.
Right, yeah, it's great. It'll be very helpful for us to continue to make some progress on this.
And then I think maybe most importantly for the longtime taxpayers, then they get to know that in 2 years, that $4 million goes into the regular levy and will be spent, for the streets, for the police department, for the fire.
Schools, all of it. Yep.
Yes.
So it's going to be really helpful for all of us once we're able to use the funds, and then it goes back to the taxing jurisdictions. I know that our partners in county government especially are excited. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed, and that's just a quick crash course on how tax increment financing works.
Look at you.
Works,
Have
right?
you thought about being a professor? No, you'd rather just report.
I'd rather have the problems here at City Hall than in the classroom.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mary Katie, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to 2024.
Yeah, thank you so much.